Welcome to another one of my random geography and culture facts videos. I made this video instead of writing my paper on why the Soviet Union collapsed, and now it's late. So if you're like me and going to procrastinate what you're supposed to be doing right now, then I guess you might as well learn something. I've been into learning more about different languages recently, so this video will cover geography and language facts. Let's begin. The country with the most official languages in the world is Bolivia, with 37. These include Spanish and 36 indigenous languages. Though its fourth most spoken language with around 100,000 speakers, Low German, is not an official language. The exact origins of hand gestures as a form of communication in Italy remain a topic of debate. However, it is widely believed that they developed out of necessity as a universal, nonverbal way to communicate across the various local languages and dialects found throughout Italy. Despite the fact that most Italians today speak Italian, the use of hand gestures has endured as a complementary form of expression to verbal communication in many parts of the country. The term lesbian originates from the Greek island of Lesbos, where the ancient poet Sappho lived. Sappho wrote poetry that often expressed deep affection and love for other women, and her works have been interpreted as indicating romantic relationships between women. The tangerine is named after Tangier, a city in Morocco where the fruit was first exported to Europe. The name tangerine became widely used in the late 19th century when the fruit was introduced to the Mediterranean region and subsequently to other parts of Europe and North America. The word for hopefully in Spanish is ojalá. This term is derived from the Arabic phrase inshallah, which means if God wills or God willing. Ojalá reflects the historical influence of Arabic on the Spanish language, which occurred during the Moorish occupation of the Iberian Peninsula from the 8th to the 15th century. Hebrew was revived as a spoken language in the late 19th and early 20th centuries after a gap of nearly 2,000 years, during which it was primarily used as a liturgical and literary language. Today, it is the official language of Israel and is spoken by approximately 9 million people worldwide. Hebrew is unique as it is the only language that has been successfully revived from ancient use to modern everyday use. Unlike other ancient languages, its modern form is very similar to its ancient one, retaining much of its original structure and vocabulary. Basque is a language spoken in areas of northern Spain and southwestern France. Basque is a language isolate, meaning it is not related to any other known language. Basque is one of the oldest languages in Europe, predating the arrival of Indo-European languages, and has approximately 750,000 speakers today. Sequoia, a Cherokee silversmith, invented a writing system for the Cherokee language in the early 19th century. His community initially feared it was a form of witchcraft. Even his wife was unhappy with his work and destroyed it. Despite this setback, Sequoia persevered and completed the writing system in 1821. This system greatly increased literacy among the Cherokee people and is still in use today, helping to preserve the Cherokee language. The Gula language, also known as Geechee, is spoken by the Gula people who reside along the southeastern coast of the United States, particularly in the Sea Islands and coastal areas of South Carolina, Georgia, and northern Florida. This Creole language emerged from the blending of diverse African languages with English, shaped by the experiences of enslaved Africans who worked on the rice plantations in the Low Country region during the 17th and 18th centuries. According to estimates, there are about 200,000 Gula people today, with the language and cultural traditions being passed down through generations. One notable figure associated with the Gula community is U.S. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Born in Pinpoint, Georgia, a small Gula-speaking community, Justice Thomas' first language was Gula. The pandanus language is an avoidance language used exclusively by some New Guinea people when collecting pandanus nuts. It's believed by speakers that the language helps control the claimed magical properties of the higher elevations where the nuts grow, and that many ordinary words from their everyday languages are harmful to the nuts. To replace these taboo words, an elaborate vocabulary of up to 1,000 words and phrases has been developed. In the United States, the letter Z is pronounced Z. However, in most other English-speaking countries, including the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, the letter Z is pronounced Z. The bikini swimsuit is named after Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands, the site of significant nuclear testing. A French designer introduced the bikini in 1946, choosing the name in the hopes that its revealing style would spark an explosive commercial and cultural reaction, akin to the global impact of the nuclear tests at Bikini Atoll. The name bear comes from the Old English word bara, which replaced an older Proto-Indo-European word. Ancient Germanic people were superstitious and avoided using the original name, fearing it might summon the animal. Instead, they used bara, which is thought to mean the brown one. So, brown bear essentially means brown, emphasizing the animal's brown fur. Linguists have identified around 800 distinct phonetic sounds used in human languages worldwide. The Pitaha language, spoken by the Pitaha people, an indigenous tribe in the Amazon rainforest, lacks specific numbers. Instead of exact numerical terms, they use relative quantities such as few and many. Additionally, the Pitaha language has no fixed concept of time, and does not use past or future tenses. The language can also be whistled, which is how Pitaha men communicate when hunting in the jungle. The top 3 most watched languages on YouTube are English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Gobi is a Mongolian word meaning desert. Therefore, Gobi Desert literally means desert. The name Tahoe comes from a Washoe word meaning the lake, so Lake Tahoe translates to lake. The term Milky Way is derived from its appearance as a dim, milky band of light stretching across the night sky. Galaxy itself comes from the Greek word galaxias, meaning milky. Thus, Milky Way galaxy essentially means milky. Icelandic is one of the oldest and least changed languages in the world. Spoken in Iceland, it has remained remarkably similar to Old Norse, the language of the Vikings. This linguistic preservation is due in part to Iceland's geographic isolation and the conscious efforts of its people to maintain their language. As a result, modern Icelanders can read medieval Icelandic sagas written over 800 years ago with relative ease. American was the official language of the state of Illinois from 1923 to 1969. This was part of a larger movement in the U.S. during that time to emphasize American nationalism and downplay foreign influences, particularly as a reaction to anti-German sentiment after World War I. The official language of Andorra is Catalan. Switzerland has 4 national languages: German, French, Italian, and Romansh. Malagasy, the national language of Madagascar, is an Austronesian language more closely related to languages in Southeast Asia and the Pacific than those on the African mainland. French is also an official language due to Madagascar's colonial history. In Suriname, Dutch is the official language, but the country is highly multilingual. Sranan-Tongo, an English-based Creole, serves as a lingua franca, and several other languages, including Hindi, Javanese, and indigenous languages, are widely spoken. East Timor has 2 official languages, Tetum and Portuguese. Tetum is the most widely spoken language and has many dialects, while Portuguese reflects the country's colonial history. Indonesian and English are also recognized as working languages. In some cultures, the thumbs-up gesture can be considered offensive. For example, in parts of the Middle East, including countries like Iraq and Iran, the thumbs-up gesture is seen as extremely rude, equivalent to giving someone the middle finger in Western cultures. However, it doesn't hold as much significance anymore due to globalization and interactions with Westerners. A closely related language to Portuguese is Galician. Galician is one of the official languages of Spain and is spoken in Galicia, an autonomous community in northwest Spain bordering Portugal. Galician and Portuguese are very closely related languages, sharing a common historical origin. Both evolved from the Galician Portuguese language, which was spoken in the northwest of the Iberian Peninsula during the Middle Ages. Speakers of Galician and Portuguese can often understand each other to a considerable extent, especially when the speakers are familiar with both languages. Tatar is the second most spoken native language in Russia, with just over 4 million speakers. Before Indonesian was chosen as the national language, the most widely spoken language in Indonesia was Javanese. And that's all for this video. Don't forget to check out some of my other random facts videos. I've linked a playlist, and thank you all for watching.